So today I'm really pleased to be joined by Dan Brierley. Dan and I trained together back in the day, and yeah, he's somebody who I've always remembered for his work, and it's just great to connect again. So hi Dan, and welcome. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi John. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Dan, and amongst other things, I teach Qigong, and I've been doing that for teaching for I think about 18 years, but teaching on varying, classes, courses, teacher trainings for about 12, I think. And then just recently, last year, 2019, I set up my own teacher training, which was sort of a culmination of everything that I'd learned and experienced prior to that, coming together as one evolving system. I say evolving because it's not set in stone. I'm learning the whole time I'm doing it. So yeah, that's it really. Oh yeah, and I'm a therapist. I've been doing therapies for many years as well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got the feeling that you're missing a lot out, because when I met you back in the late 90s, the level of experience you got then blew me away.
Yeah. Yeah, I have done a lot. I sort of forget, I think that I have done a lot, but I've done a lot of training in different therapy modalities. So I trained in shiatsu, I trained in traditional Thai massage, I trained in hypnotherapy, I did training in Western herbalism, I did craniosacral therapy, blah blah blah, lots of different sort of therapeutic approaches, and also a lot of movement. So I've always been interested in moving my body. So done a lot of martial arts, practiced sort of Japanese arts, Chinese internal systems like Tai Chi, Xingyi, and Bagua. I did 14 years of Indonesian Silat, which is probably the main thing. And then a sort of variety of different things, and learned Qigong and practiced Qigong as well.
Yeah, I know that whenever we talk, I'm always fascinated by all the other martial arts that are sitting in there, and there's so much great conversation we can have. But the purpose of this, we need to come back into Qigong, which I will maintain. I will try to make sure we do. But we'll probably carry on having conversations after this and record it, and then maybe release that later on. So a question for you then. How did Qigong crop up? How did you get interested in it? What was the start for that for you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think it definitely wasn't something that I was looking for, consciously looking for. It sort of came about through Aikido. I was practicing Aikido. So Aikido, sort of ki is the Japanese way of saying chi. So the way of Aikido translates roughly as the way of chi. And I started doing movement, and I became sort of intrigued with this ki. And what is this? What I don't understand. What are they talking about? They talked about it in very abstract terms as a sort of universal force that was just there and don't think about it. That was, and then talking to another student, he was going to a shiatsu seminar. I hadn't done shiatsu at that point, and mentioned that they use qi, or the concept of qi, within the therapeutic approach to the body. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting, I'll go along. I went along, and I think we've been sitting down listening to this guy talking for a while, and then he said, okay, let's get up and do some movement. We're going to do some Qigong. And I'd never heard, and I thought, what's this weird stuff? And so we got up and did some fairly basic stuff, really. If I think about it, now, it was pretty old school. It's just a bit of standing in basic sort of tree hugging posture, and a bit of waving your arms around and breathing. And I don't know why, but something about it grabbed my attention. I was sort of split, and part of me thought, this is silly, and what's the purpose? And part of me was really intrigued by it, and that was the first time I'd come across the term even Qigong, and then it just kept popping up wherever I seemed to be. It would just sort of pop up. I'd go to a workshop about something, I don't know, meditation or something, just a bit interested. I was looking at at that stage, I was looking at lots of different things, and Qigong would pop up. Or I started doing a Tai Chi class, and the teacher said, well, we're going to do some Qigong, and then we're going to do some Tai Chi, and so it's sort of started building these layers into my consciousness without really considering myself someone who practiced Qigong. It was a sort of stealth the way it sort of crept in, and that went on for many years, and it was really confused. I got very confused by it, because there seemed to be it seemed to have such a huge umbrella, and I met some teachers who were very, very fixed in the way they taught it, the way they described and explained Qigong, and I got very frustrated with this sort of things, apparent contradictions and things. I wanted something that was, at that time, could be described in a more sort of linear way. And so I did practice some styles that were it came from very fixed sort of lineage background. And they were really interesting, but they annoyed me at that time. There was just and also I was doing, at that time I was very heavily into the martial arts practice, and it felt like just it was too confusing, the whole thing. And then, this is not exactly a linear progression, but then I found the College of Elemental Qigong, and I think it was called the College of Natural Movement when we went. I think it. I can't remember. Anyways, it was a Qigong, a Qigong based training that was. I thought, okay, I'll do this training because then I'll understand what Qigong is. And I went along and did the training with you, and it was an amazing experience. It was a really incredible experience. It didn't really clear things up for me, but what it did do was help me to begin that process of looking at Qigong from my own perspective rather than other people's perspectives, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that it's so important to let people know about, that when you actually go to a Qigong class, there can be all kinds of stuff going on, but every teacher is different.
Yeah.
And most of us, I can't say all of us because I can't speak for everybody, but most of us have been through a similar process of finding our own way to work with it. And I think it's really important to let people know that they need to find their own way to work with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But having said that, you've mentioned the lineage forms, and one of the things we're asking people is, do you actually adhere to a strict lineage form? And I think I know the answer on this one now.
Well, yeah, no, I don't. I've trained in two different lineages that were very lineage-based form, and they were they came very much from the perspective of if you are practicing Qigong that is not lineage-based, then it's no good. And ours is good, if not the best, kind of thing, that sort of attitude, which I completely understand, and I totally get where they're coming from and what they're doing. I just felt that for me, it didn't suit me I got a lot from the trainings. One was very static based, standing forms. That was pretty much it. And the other was more movement based. And I did get a lot from both of them. I did them at different times, not at the same time. I sort of did one and then found the other one later. But I also felt that for me, something was missing. There was a connection that was missing. And some of that, I think, was to do with the terminology that was being used to describe things, to describe qi, to describe the forms, to describe the sort of effect of what we were doing and why we were doing. And some was to do with just this idea that this particular system had all the answers and everything else wasn't real or wasn't correct, or so I absolutely respect people that are lineage hold 100% lineage holders. Absolutely, the work that they've put into their training and their understanding based on their training is amazing. I fully respect anyone who goes to study with systems like that, because you will learn a lot in doing that. But I equally am aware that for a vast number of people, I know because I meet them, and as people who have tried and have come away from it and want to carry on with Qigong, or people that are new to Qigong, that there's a much wider spectrum. And I'm sort of fit into that wider spectrum. There's so many amazing teachers coming from a variety of different backgrounds with a variety of different ideas and interpretations in what they do and how they approach the work. And there's no competition. We're all moving in the same direction, and we're all appealing to different people, at different times, and it's fantastic, so
I completely agree with you. I think that there's and I'll hold up my hand here and say that I'm somebody who's studied in lineage forms and outside of lineage forms, and I think one of the things that I found really valuable in the lineage form is they are really challenging, and you need those challenges in order to actually break through and continue working with your practice. But for me, I think I'm much the same as you. I've found those challenges in other places. And I prefer to have a slightly softer hold on it, so that I then have the ability to explore things at my own pace with my own set of challenges coming in.
Amazing. And also for me, I'm sure this resonates with you as well, it's that we learn from, you know, constantly. We're constantly evolving, and so and we're getting, every time a new student comes, or we talk to a teacher with another idea, we'll sort of learn something from them. And it's this, you know, everything changes. You know, the basic sort of Taoist principle, everything changes, nothing is fixed. And if you try to fix things, at some point you're going to hit a wall, you know, and maybe that's a continuous process. As we go through this journey, we hit little obstacles along the way, you know, but just being open to other ideas, other modalities, gives you another, this constant growth, you know, potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that we're asking people, well, two of the questions that we're asking people, and they when I'm having the conversations, they tend to merge together, is what have you gained from Qigong, and what do you love about Qigong?
They're great. They're actually really great questions, because they're massive. I mean, really massive. I think without being dramatic, Qigong has changed my life. It's informed my life. It continues to inform my life in every area, in how I live, in my relationships, how I work, how I interact with people, and how I teach. You know, so for me, it's a gift that keeps on giving. And I think personally, since my focus has become more oriented towards Qigong and my teaching, I think I've completely changed. I feel like I've completely changed. I think physically I changed, in that my body is very different. My understanding of my body is very different, and the way I move is very different. But I think mentally, which has been the biggest change, is how I think about life, the universe, and everything. So that's been amazing.
Yeah.
I think I wandered off a bit there. The two questions were, what's it given you, or what did I gain from Qigong, and and the other one was,
what do you love about Qigong?
Yeah, well, I guess that works. That's both together, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is, and it's yeah, as you say, it's a very big question, and yeah, it's just fascinating to hear what people's responses to it are, and I completely resonate with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing we're asking people to do is share a little bit of practice, just something that gives a taste of the type of approach that you have. So, and the way that we phrase it is that if you had 2 minutes to share something with us, what would it be? Now, again, we're not strict about the 2 minutes. 2 minutes is just such a ridiculously short period of time. If there's something small, what would you share with people?
Yeah, that's another really good question, actually, I think, because okay, so this is one of the things that I ask my students, and I ask my students continuously, not obsessively, but you know, and it's, what is Qigong? That's it. What is Qigong? And this is a question that I ask, and some people just look at me like, okay, Dan's being weird. Some people want to give me a definition that's based on their experience, what they've read, what they're learning, what have you.
Mm.
And I keep asking them, because my understanding of Qigong, this is a thing that I'd like to share, I guess, is that in essence, it's very simple. It's breathing and moving. And so the thing that I'd like to encourage people to do is breathe consciously. I mean, I know we're breathing all the time, and to move their bodies. If you're breathing consciously and you're moving your body, you're practicing Qigong to some degree. Then there's a lot of other things that you can apply to that. But the most important thing is that synchronicity between breath and movement. So it's breathing, simple movement, you know, a simple opening movement, you know, breathing in, breathing out. Just simply noticing the expansion as you breathe in and the contraction as you breathe out. You don't need to worry about qi. You don't really need to worry about health. You don't need to worry about what you're doing. Just observing the movement and the breath.
Mm.
And even just doing that for, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds, whatever we did,
Mm-hmm.
everything's changed. Yeah, everything has changed. My mind, what I'm thinking about has changed. What I'm feeling in my body has changed. How I'm moving my body has changed. And it's just a moment of connection with something other than what's in front of me and what's around me. It's turning my attention in towards my center, towards my core, and just exploring that expansion and contraction. It's a simple principle that is reflected throughout the universe. There's expanding and contracting, you know, the tides, the seasons, the movement, the wind, the way it blows through the trees, everything is just in this constant movement. So even when we're still or trying to be still, say trying because it is not possible to be still, it's possible to approach stillness, but we're breathing, our heart's beating, the blood circulating through our body, everything is moving. So I just encourage anyone who looks at this, or anyone who is interested in Qigong, who just breathe and move and don't worry. And then whichever school you go to, whatever teacher you meet, they'll kind of fill up the space with you know, ways that you can explore that.
Mm. Thank you very much. That's yeah, no, I think it's really interesting that we look at these sort of core ideas and we share these core ideas, because we can get very caught up in wanting to do perfect sort of white crane form or monkey work, or and actually you've hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely in those moments that everything is changing. So yeah, thank you very much.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Yeah.
So if people want to find you, if people want to, and obviously your bio is up on the site, but
yes,
if people want to find out what you're up to, make contact with you, where's the best place to go?
The best place to go, well, it's my website, which is just www.danielbrierley.co.uk.